We continue on here on Kansas Sports Chatter as we bring in our next guest, and that is going to be Gage Garcia. He's head coach of the Kapaun Mt Carmel Catholic High School boys cross country team, coming off that state championship last fall and getting ready for 2026. Coach, appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What the summer workouts been like for you as a coach, and just what you're trying to get across to your team during the summer?
Yeah, so we always kind of focus on having a great summer and trying to build a good, strong aerobic base. So we do a lot as far as like hills, of course, at least what we can get here in Wichita. We'll do a lot of threshold type work, just trying to get them working hard, but not working too crazy or too specific or anything like that. But the biggest thing that we really focus on is, developing consistency, and just, good habits, trying to be at practice the right, on all the days, as many days as you can. But yeah, as far as what workouts look like, it's just building that base. So
where are the best hills in Wichita?
Well, there's a few we use. So we've gone to Plainview Park, which is there's one we call it Boxcar Hill. And that's, southeast Wichita, about a 400-meter hill that you can get something out of. And then we use College Hill Park for some short repeats here and there. And then a lot of times we'll actually go kind of the outskirts of Wichita, really. So we actually just went to, for example, Buffalo Road, which is out kind of actually in Augusta. But it's a great kind of 1 mile stretch of good solid hills. But, we recognize that it's not to our advantage as far as hills go, compared to the Kansas City area. So we try to make up for it in other ways, and kind of get creative. But we get our work in. So,
I like this is going to be one of the I guess my first dumb question for you very early on in the interview, but sometimes people if you practice on turf, you're going to be playing on grass for football, they want to get practice on that. Like, do you notice for cross country, is running or the terrain that you have as far as experience, does that have a factor?
Yeah, so it's funny, it's a little bit of both, I would say. So, what I always tell my guys is fast, but you have to practice on what you're going to race on. And so we'll go out to like Clap Park, which is actually where we go to our first meet, which is the JK Gold Invitational. And that's kind of our, home course, quote unquote. But it's all grass. It's not crazy hilly or anything, but you go and do a workout there and it's harder to run on grass. It just is. And so you have to practice on it. You have to get some experience on it. With that said, one of the things that we do probably more than other teams in cross country, and this is kind of where I talk about getting a little creative, is like we go on the track a lot more than probably most teams do in cross country. And just for the simple reason, I'm like, well, we may not be able to challenge them on the hills necessarily, but if we're just fast, right, we can make up a lot of that. And so, yeah, so a little bit of both. We go on the track a lot, but we definitely hit the grass when we can.
Yeah, you talk about that creativity. Like, how important is it for you as a coach, especially during the summer, just to keep things fun and keep things loose?
Yeah, no, I think it's really important. It's honestly something I wish I was better at. Luckily we've got a good group of guys that, kind of it takes care of itself if you get the right group. And I think that it's really important to keep things engaging, especially when your whole goal is consistency. It's how do you sell to kids, right, that running for a long time or running very difficult workouts is fun.
Right.
And, a lot of times it is trying to develop different things to build camaraderie and whatnot. And so luckily here at Kapaun, we have, the opportunity to have a shared faith life. And a lot of that kind of goes hand in hand with the camaraderie focus. So it is important, but as I say, like some of that takes care of itself with the team leadership that we have. So
the development of the runners through your system over the years, so especially this time of the year, how much are you trying to individually, I don't want to say nitpick, but just individually kind of break down someone and just try to develop that individual?
Yeah, so kind of one of my thoughts as a coach, and I think it's hard as a high school coach versus like a college coach, but the more you can individualize something, everybody's different. Every runner that you ever come across will be different from one to the next. And, some develop more with higher mileage, some develop more with speed. You got guys that are more like 800 type guys that have never run before. So like, and not only that, how do they mentally approach the sport? It's all different, and every person's different. And that, as much as I can as a coach, I really try to individualize that. And it's hard. I mean, to some degree, you kind of have to put guys in groups. And, with enough guys on the team, it makes it so that you kind of have to, you got to focus on the group as a whole, kind of foremost. But definitely, like, as much as I can, I like to try to individualize it and definitely get to know the guys, on a closer level, so that we can make sure that they all get what they are needing, and what they need might be different than what their teammates need, for sure.
Talking with Gage Garcia, head coach of the boys cross country team at Kapaun Mt Carmel here on Kansas Sports Chatter. You talk about, the numbers that you've seen throughout the years. Has it been pretty steady through Kapaun since you've been there as far as guys coming out?
Yeah, so not exactly. We started off pretty small, kind of my first few years. I think my first year we had, I want to say, when it was all said and done, we had like 16 boys, which is pretty, as I see it, pretty small. Last year we had 44 boys
Wow.
out for the team, and that, we had a great team last few years, really. We had, obviously, I think some of that you kind of have to, I really give the nod to our middle school coaches. I mean, getting those guys interested, and that's the biggest thing, I think. And you get groups with a lot of kids, you get groups with very few kids, and we actually just graduated a couple of big groups, and so we're going to be a little smaller this year, but we'll still be pretty good size. But we've definitely been like pretty consistently growing. Last year, I would say, was kind of the first year that we kind of had our team culture and team size, this kind of where I wanted it. And I thought, okay, if we are able to get bigger from here, I'll be surprised. And if we're going to get smaller, I kind of expect that, like, to a certain extent. But I don't think, in my head, I'm hoping that we're never going to go back to the 16 team, 16 kid roster. And I think, there were some changes we had to make early on. But yeah, I mean, I really am all about, the more the merrier. I try to get kids to get their friends out and, use different strategies to try to do that. But yeah, it's been good. It's been good seeing the growth of the team. And, I don't want to take from Coach Bina, but her girls team is absolutely growing, and it's really, the culture there is very, very good too. So.
Yeah, you bring up Coach Bina. Like, how cool is that, just to, not only win a state championship last year with the boys, but then seeing her, and then, I mean, and then the girls team winning it as well.
Oh, it was cool. Coach Bina is a great coach, and she, the girls on that team love her. They love her a lot. And I thought we had a really good chance on the boys' side of winning. And it was funny because ours was the closer match. We ended up winning on the tiebreaker, but when the girls won, I mean, it was a solid, like, resounding win. And I was like, I didn't even expect them to win. I was like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. And again, I don't want to take too much or reveal too much about their team, but
sure,
they're going to be pretty special these next few years. One of the better teams, I think, that I've seen. So, but yeah, anyway, it was awesome getting to do that, at the same time last year.
So you talk about that tiebreaker, like, what was not the drama, but like, what was the suspense leading up to that, and just trying to piece together where you guys are at total wise?
Oh gosh. Well, it's funny. It wasn't really, suspense is the wrong word. Like, we thought we'd lost. I mean, we definitely thought we'd lost the meet. The thing is, at Rimrock, there's no internet connection up there.
Right.
And so we kind of were at the mercy of the scoreboard, unless we went and saw the official results, or, went back and tried to manually go through. And I mentioned this before, the coach at Blue Valley Southwest, he actually came up to me and was like, hey, he's a little more, he's definitely an analytical guy. And he's like, I was looking at this. I think they might've got the score wrong. Do you want to come check with me? And sure enough, like, we go up there and we check on this. They had just finished printing out the official results, and sure enough, it was a tie. And I knew we kind of had the sixth man on that. And yeah, it was, you talk about suspense. It really wasn't suspense. It was pure dejection for my team. I mean, they thought they'd lost. They went on their cool down. I mean, and as a coach, I was like, I don't even know what I can say to you guys. Like, I know you worked hard and we did everything we could and put in, tons and tons of just difficult, grueling work, and to come this close and still not break that streak that we had was really disappointing. But then when I saw that, I was like, that's wild. So the guys were on their cool down when I found out, and I'm like, go find them. Like I told a couple of other JV kids that were up there, I was like, go find them, bring them back. Like, this is going to be cool.
Did they think that you were messing with them? Like, hey guys, just joking. You actually won.
I think for a second or two, they're like, what are you talking? I was like, no, guys, like the results board was wrong. Like we won. I walked them over to look at the score sheet, and that's when they kind of believed it. I was like, look right there, like it's on the board. Like, and so it was a very, I mean, it was kind of lowest of lows to highest kind of thing. And it was, credit to, like I said, credit to Coach Bello at Southwest. He was, kind of the one that had the impetus of like letting me know, like, hey, these scores might not be right. So, and so, yeah, I mean, it was a very memorable moment. Yeah. So.
For you growing up in Wichita and attending Bishop Carroll, and you had a lot of success, Wichita State, as a runner, but then also at Bishop Carroll, like, did that help kind of influence your decision to get into coaching? Like, did that kind of inspire that success that you had at a young age?
Well, sure. I think to some degree, yeah. I've always loved running. I've always been about it, and I love track as a sport, more than just the running piece. I love the whole sport, the throws, the jumps, everything. And I had a great coach in high school, and he still coaches there, Coach Swords, and he really influenced me and was kind of a mentor to me, not just obviously coaching me as an athlete, but then even kind of a mentor to me as a coach. That was influential. At Wichita State, I had some great coaches, and they actually connected me to some folks there at Kapaun, and I coaching was kind of a thought I had. I was like, oh, that could be cool, and it kind of fell in my lap a little bit. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll jump into this. And after a couple of years, I was pretty much hooked. I mean, I really enjoy seeing the growth of the kids, and, just watching them break their barrier, seeing what they become. And now I'm kind of getting to the point where, like, some of them are getting married and having kids and things like that. And it's like, all that's like very, very cool to me. And, aside from the success, I mean, the success is very fun too, but I mean, like, some of my favorite moments are watching, like, a lower level JV kid have a breakthrough race. And like, I remember one year we watched one of our guys he hadn't beat a kid all season. And the very last race at the City League meet for him, he went and he beat one guy, and it was, the whole team was just
nice
cheering him on. And yeah. And so, probably from an early age, I think it's just always been something I've loved. And, I'm still trying to run and train myself. But I know that long-term, this is how I'll probably stay around the sport that I love. So. Yeah.
So can you still challenge some of those guys? If they start talking a little bit, can you go out there and show them how it's done?
I've still got some speed in my legs.
Okay.
I can still run pretty quick. Last year, we had Daniel Enriquez, who was kind of our star senior last year. And it got to a point on especially the faster stuff where I could not hang with him, mile pace work, even starting to get to the 3,200 pace work. And that stuff started to get a little bit too hot for me. And so, yeah, and it's fun. I mean, I love being able to still run with those guys. I go on a lot of their runs with them. And it's really been a cool thing for me too, because it kind of allows me to feel, how tired they are, how hard are they breathing when I'm next to them? How, what are they actually feeling? And that's honestly very, very good information for me as a coach, on adjusting workouts and pushing them harder if necessary. And I mean, so I still got a little bit of speed in there, but again, I just love running. So I do it too. So
Love it. Hey, good insight, Coach. Appreciate the time, and best of luck this season.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate you having me on here, and yeah, thanks a lot, and best with your channel. So
appreciate it. That's Gage Garcia, head coach of the Kapaun Mt Carmel boys cross country team. We'll have more of the show after the break.